Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal, and you are watching the Mojo Story. Two Meitei men who were abducted on September 27 have now been released. They have been released, and in fact, they are on their way to Imphal, where they will be reunited with their families. Now, two of these men, basically there were three people who were taken away. One of them was rescued on the same day, reportedly by Assam Rifles, and now these two men have also come back home. They have been released. This was also indicated by Chief Minister Biren Singh, who had tweeted about it. Now, at the time of their release, there were members of Committee of Tribal Unity, the representatives of that organization, who in fact spoke to these Meitei youths, and they have given an account of what exactly happened. So, if we can right away start with the sound bite of these two men who have now been released. Remember, they belong to the Meitei community. They were on their way to a military recruitment rally. But what had happened is that on the way, they had lost the track and they had strayed into the Kuki area where they were abducted, allegedly by Kuki militants. So let's first play that sound bite.
ꯃꯆꯥ ꯃꯅꯥꯎ ꯑꯃ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯖꯅꯤꯡꯕꯗꯤ ꯆꯤꯡꯒꯤꯁꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯀꯨꯀꯤ ꯏꯆꯤꯟ ꯏꯅꯥꯎꯁꯤꯡꯅ ꯇꯧꯕ ꯊꯕꯛ ꯈꯨꯗꯤꯡꯃꯛꯇ ꯃꯥꯏ ꯄꯥꯛꯄ ꯌꯥꯏꯐꯕꯇ ꯑꯣꯏꯁꯅꯨ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯕꯨ ꯃꯆꯥ ꯃꯅꯥꯎꯗꯨꯅ ꯂꯨꯅ ꯆꯥꯟꯅ ꯇꯧꯕꯤꯕꯗ ꯁꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯃꯇꯨꯡ ꯇꯥꯔꯛꯄꯗꯁꯨ ꯁꯣꯏꯗ ꯉꯥꯝꯗꯕ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯤ ꯏꯌꯥꯝꯕꯁꯤꯡꯗ ꯑꯅꯥ ꯑꯌꯦꯛ ꯌꯥꯎꯗꯅ ꯌꯥꯏꯐꯕ ꯁꯤꯁꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯖꯅꯤꯡꯉꯤ ꯑꯔꯣꯏꯕ ꯋꯥꯍꯪ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯃꯩꯇꯩ ꯃꯆꯥ ꯑꯃ ꯀꯨꯀꯤꯒꯤ ꯂꯝꯗ ꯂꯟꯗꯥ ꯑꯁꯤꯗ ꯆꯪꯉꯛꯈꯤꯕꯗ ꯅꯣꯏꯅꯤꯒꯤ ꯊꯥꯖꯕꯒꯤ ꯋꯥꯡꯃꯗ ꯀꯨꯀꯤꯖꯣ ꯀꯝꯃ꯭ꯌꯨꯅꯤꯇꯤꯁꯤꯡꯅ ꯅꯣꯏꯕꯨ ꯊꯥꯗꯣꯛꯂꯛꯄ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯁꯤ ꯅꯆꯥ ꯅꯣꯏꯅꯤꯅ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯃꯩꯇꯩ ꯀꯝꯃ꯭ꯌꯨꯅꯤꯇꯤꯗ ꯀꯔꯤ ꯋꯥꯐꯝ ꯐꯣꯡꯗꯣꯛꯅꯤꯡꯉꯤ?
ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯑꯍꯥꯟꯕ ꯆꯪꯉꯛꯄꯗꯗꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯊꯋꯥꯏꯁꯦ ꯃꯥꯡꯉꯅꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯒꯤ ꯊꯥꯖꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯝ ꯆꯥꯎꯅ ꯂꯩ ꯍꯥꯏꯇꯥꯔꯦ. ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯁꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯀꯜꯂꯅꯤ ꯈꯣꯠꯂꯅꯤ ꯀꯥꯏꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯛꯄꯗꯣ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯅꯨꯡꯉꯥꯏꯌꯦ. ꯑꯗꯣ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯤꯗꯃꯛꯇ ꯊꯥꯒꯠꯆꯅꯤ.
Right. So you heard it. These are two young men belonging to the Meitei community who were actually abducted and now they have been released. Now, our uh, correspondent on the ground who sent us these details and this video, Mubassir, also sent us a transcript of what they said. So, what they're saying after their release is that we were treated nicely by Kuki elders like their own brothers. We have no discontentment whatsoever. It's our fault that we mistakenly took the wrong route. We take it as our own fault. However, brothers, your people have treated you so nicely, and that we want to express our thankfulness. So, these are some of the things that they have said in that interview. But of course, they have been released, but what's happened is that there has been an exchange. They have been released in exchange of 11 Kuki prisoners. Reportedly, the release coincided with the release of these 11 Kuki prisoners from Imphaal's Sajiva jail, according to reports. Now, there was some condition, according to reports, that was set for their release, and they have been released, which coinciding with the release of 11 Kuki prisoners. Earlier, the Chief Minister of the state, Biren Singh, had said that all efforts are underway. The center and the state is working in coordination for the release of these two men. In fact, he'd also said that the DGP of the state had been sent for negotiations, and now these two men have been released. They were taken away on the 27th of September and they have been released on the 3rd of October. Of course, there are 11 Kuki men who are in the prison who have been released in exchange of these two men who have been released. Basically, uh, it was a group of three persons, but one of them was rescued on the same day and the two others who have been released now. In all of this, it is the Committee on Tribal Unity that says that it played a crucial role in the negotiations in their release, and one of its spokesperson also has spoken to spell out the role that the Committee on Tribal Unity played for the release of these abducted Meitei men. Let us play that soundbite.
But however, our efforts were maligned by the Valley-based local media as well as the public in Imphal, saying that the Committee on Tribal Unity is a part of this milieu. But we would like to reiterate that after intervening, we were able to release one person on the day itself. But however, for the other twos, our village volunteers made some condition, which it took us time because the first discussion with the DGP of Manipur was on the 29th. But because of he being a DGP of a state, our negotiation could not materialize. First, the demand was the transfer of all jail inmates from Imphal to Kuki dominated area, which is Churisanpur. And the second is establishment of police station at Pailimon area. See, if the CM had cared for those two detained individuals, he would have acted. But sadly so,
Representative of the Committee of Tribal Unity. Now, to recap for our viewers, two Meitei men who were abducted 8 days ago have now been released. They have been released and handed over to Kangpoki District Police, and now they are on their way to Imphal to be reunited with their families. The two, Oinam Thoi Thoi and Thoiba, were escorted to Imphal. Now, what's happened after their abduction? There were protests, and in one of those protests, in fact, one of the mothers of one of those who were abducted had fainted. There were protests demanding that the chief minister should play a more active role and get them released. There were also reports of highway blockade. So clearly the pressure was building up. But finally, the chief minister had said in a post on the social media that he said that the two young men abducted from Kangpoki on 27th of September have been safely released. And he had continued to say that I sincerely appreciate everyone for both the state and central government who worked tirelessly to ensure their safe return. Your efforts are deeply valued. So that's the chief minister obviously giving details. But the news that we are bringing to you is that two Meitei men in their 20s who had been taken away, abducted while they were on their way to a military recruitment rally, have now been released and they are on their way to Imphal to be reunited with their family members. So this is the story that we are bringing to you. In fact, they have spoken also after their release. If we can again play that sound bite. After their release, they have spoken and they have given details of what exactly happened when they were in the captivity.
ꯁꯤꯡꯒꯤꯁꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯀꯨꯀꯤ ꯏꯆꯤꯟ ꯏꯅꯥꯎꯁꯤꯡꯅ ꯇꯧꯕ ꯊꯕꯛ ꯈꯨꯗꯤꯡꯃꯛꯇ ꯃꯥꯏ ꯄꯥꯛꯄ ꯌꯥꯏꯐꯕꯇ ꯑꯣꯏꯁꯅꯨ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯕꯨ ꯃꯆꯥ ꯃꯅꯥꯎꯗꯨꯅ ꯂꯨꯅ ꯆꯥꯟꯅ ꯇꯧꯕꯤꯕ ꯁꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯃꯇꯨꯡ ꯇꯥꯔꯛꯄꯗꯁꯨ ꯁꯣꯏꯗ ꯉꯥꯝꯗꯕ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯤ ꯏꯌꯥꯝꯕꯁꯤꯡꯗ ꯑꯅꯥ ꯑꯌꯦꯛ ꯌꯥꯎꯗꯅ ꯌꯥꯏꯐꯕ ꯁꯤꯁꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯖꯅꯤꯡꯉꯤ ꯑꯔꯣꯏꯕ ꯋꯥꯍꯪ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯃꯩꯇꯩ ꯃꯆꯥ ꯑꯃ ꯀꯨꯀꯤꯒꯤ ꯂꯝꯗ ꯂꯟꯗꯥ ꯑꯁꯤꯗ ꯆꯪꯉꯛꯈꯤꯕꯗ ꯅꯣꯏꯅꯤꯒꯤ ꯊꯥꯖꯕꯒꯤ ꯋꯥꯡꯃꯗ Kukijo community singna noibu thaduk lakpa haibasi nasa noinina akhoi gi Meitei community da kari wafam phondok ningi
ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯑꯍꯥꯟꯕ ꯆꯪꯉꯛꯄꯗꯗꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯊꯋꯥꯏꯁꯦ ꯃꯥꯡꯉꯅꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯒꯤ ꯊꯥꯖꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯝ ꯆꯥꯎꯅ ꯂꯩ ꯍꯥꯏꯇꯥꯔꯦ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯁꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯀꯜꯂꯅꯤ ꯈꯣꯠꯂꯅꯤ ꯀꯥꯏꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯛꯄꯗꯣ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯅꯨꯡꯉꯥꯏꯌꯦ ꯑꯗꯣ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯤꯗꯃꯛꯇ ꯊꯥꯒꯠꯆꯅꯤ.
So this is these two men speaking after their release. Now they're saying that they were treated well, and they are very happy that they will be able to reach home and and being reunited with their families. They will be meeting their families, and that's what's making them very happy. So obviously these two men who were taken away have now been released, and they are on their way to Imphal. So clearly, this is a big story that's happening. We've seen that Manipur has been on the edge for almost a year now, with clashes between two communities, between Meitei and between Kuki communities. That's left scores of people dead, and many others have been displaced. Now, what's essentially happened? There is a divide on the ground. The Meiteis are primarily living in the valley, the Kukis are up on the hills, and there are buffer zones that have been created. Now, these men had gone towards a recruitment rally. They had lost their way, and they had strayed into the Kuki dominated area, and that's when they were taken away. Now, this release has coincided with the release of 11 Kuki prisoners. So, there has actually been an exchange. The representative of the Committee of Tribal Unity, who was accompanying them, in fact said that they had rounds of negotiations with the police, and they had put across some demands. One of the demands was, of course, moving of the Kuki prisoners into Churachandpur, which is a place dominated by Kukis, and also the establishment of a police station. So all those demands they have put across. But the news that we are bringing to you is that two Meitei men who were abducted on the September of 27th have now been released, and they will be going to their homes. Of course, Chief Minister Biren Singh has tweeted about it, and he's thanked all those who were involved in the release of these two men, and he said that they worked in coordination, the state and the central government, to ensure the release of these two men. What happened in Manipur, of course, over the last few days was protests in the Meitei, the Meiteis protesting and demanding that that these two men should be released, and all efforts should be made in in that direction to ensure their release, so that they can be brought back to Imphal to be reunited with their families. So that is, in fact, in one of those videos, there were also family members of these two men who were protesting. And in one of those videos, the mother of one of those who was abducted had actually fainted. There were clearly demonstrations and protests going on, asking the government to play a more proactive role for the release of these two men, particularly asking the chief minister. The chief minister had also said earlier that they are working for the release of these two men. The center and the state is working in coordination to get them released. And after their release, in fact, the chief minister has again tweeted. Biren Singh has said that the two young men abducted in Kangpoki on September 27 have been safely released. And he continued, I sincerely appreciate everyone from both the state and central government who worked tirelessly to ensure their safe return. Your efforts are deeply valued. The chief minister confirming earlier in the day that they have been released, and they are at a safe place now. And after the release, the two men spoke and said that they had strayed into that area, and they were taken good care by the people who had abducted them, and they are very happy to be back in Imphal with their families. So that's the news that we are bringing to you. Uh, we are bringing to you We have been focusing on this story since the morning, and we'll keep updating. We'll keep updating as we get more inputs. But for now, we can confirm to you that that these two men are already on their way to Imphal and will be soon reunited with their families. For now, we'll leave it here. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks so much for watching the Mojo Story.